Hi everybody. I am so happy that all of you are here. I'm Laura Banky. The Life Actually Company is my baby, and I am so thrilled that all of you are here for, I guess, the metaphorical birth of what this whole project has been. And not only am I thrilled that all of you are here, I am so happy that these 5 amazing women are all up here with me. I'm gonna let each of them introduce themselves though, because I think that feels a little bit more personal, and then they can tell who they are, where they've been, and why they wanted to be here tonight.
Hi everybody.
Oh, it's interactive.
Okay.
It's interactive.
My name is Cece Olisa. I'm co-founder of the CurvyCon, which is a convention for plus-size fashion inclusivity that happens during New York Fashion Week. I started off as a fashion blogger, so God has funny plans when you get on the internet, anything can happen.
Truth.
I have a TEDx called How to Build Self-Confidence. It has over 200,000 views.
It's awesome.
So honestly, if you want to hear more about my story, it's all in the TEDx. 10 minutes, in and out. It's easier that way.
Hi everyone, I'm Ivanka DeKoning. Where do I begin? I moved to New York City, launched my career in fashion. I'm currently a buyer for Saks Fifth Avenue, but my side hustle is that I'm also an LGBTQ fashion blogger. And I speak about fashion inclusivity and bringing awareness to the LGBTQ community, and just to show that there is no stereotype, and always, don't ever judge anybody and accept who we are. And I also have a podcast called Fashion Disruptors, which is also about fashion inclusivity, so go check it out on iTunes and Spotify. And that's about it.
I have a mic.
Oh, you have a mic.
Laura surprisingly trusted me with mic.
Well, you are on TV.
So Laura and I know each other from WABC TV, Channel 7, where we overlap for a number of years. I've actually been there for 19 years.
So
and
you started when you were like
I started
12.
when I was in utero. Yeah, because I'm 20. No, that happened a couple decades ago. So maybe I'm the elder statesperson here.
Perhaps.
Anyway, I'm a newscaster. I'm a mom. I am a native New Yorker, and I'm very happy to see so many lovely, intelligent women here. I had such engaging conversations earlier. So Laura, thank you for reaching out to a great group of girls.
Well, thank you. Well, Lauren did come up to me and ask me if a prerequisite for an invitation was that you had to be nice. And I said, well, yeah, obviously. Obviously.
Hi, I'm Jenny Goodman. I am the co-founder of a workwear company for the hospitality industry called Tillet NYC. So we make workwear for all the people that you go and dine out at. We also have a podcast. I'm also a podcast host for a show all about building restaurants called Opening Soon on the Heritage Radio Network. I'm excited to be here because I think there are a lot of stereotypes in what the timeline looks like. I run my business with my husband, which I never in a million years thought I would do. Be like mom and pop shop, but it's working out. So, anyways.
Well done. Not intimidating to follow. I work here. I'm Allie Teach. Hello. I am the founder of a platform called The Sweat Life. It's a digital media company in the health and fitness space. I always say, if you guys have ever seen the show Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, I'm like the Guy Fieri of health, wellness, and fitness. He's got me on the hair. But yeah, I am beyond excited for what Laura has started. I'm here because when Laura Banky asks you to show up to things, you show up with nails on, because that's what she does. But yeah, this is just beyond relevant for so many of us. I'm also a native New Yorker, and probably around the same age. So.
All right, thank you. So you can see already why I picked these amazing women to be up here with me. It was really important to me as I was creating this business, as all of this was coming together, as then I was formulating this panel. The whole point of this isn't to tell you how you should be living your life or give you a blueprint or tips on exactly what you should be doing to achieve that perfect life that you're looking for. It's about sharing our stories, because when we share our stories, we start to feel less alone in what we are struggling with. So that's what I want this panel to be about, a chance for all of us to kind of share our stories, to connect with different people on different levels, maybe in ways that we'd never even expected. I know when I was struggling so much with my own timeline, I thought I was all alone, and I wasn't. So that is my goal with all of this, and these amazing 5 women are here tonight to help us start with all of that. So first of all, I want to say though, I'm so used to interviewing men in locker rooms. This is amazing. You smell so good. And I'm not worried you're going to try and hit on me later. So thank you. Thank you. All right, so let's get started. Obviously, you've all seen around here, the big theme of the Life Actually Company is to own your timeline. When it comes to a timeline, I feel like we don't necessarily think of it in the possibilities. We think of it in the way it's supposed to be, what our life is supposed to happen, when we're supposed to get married. It's kind of a general question to start, but what different stereotypes do you feel like you've had to deal with in your life that you have had to embrace and own where you are and how you have overcome some challenge to get to this point? Cece, would you like to start? Oh, I know, you're sitting next to me, so you get it. You get it.
Sure, yeah. I think I'll say that I had stereotypes that I gave to myself. I just read something that said, like, there are things that you may have, like, always wanted that you can give yourself permission to, like, not want anymore. And I think I was very attached to, like, I was the little girl who was stuffing her dress with a coat to pretend she was pregnant. Like, that was me at, like, 8. Like, I told my parents, like, we need a baby in this house. You guys are the ones that can do it. Like, then I had a sister. Like I was, like, on the baby thing. Like, it was, like, whatever. And I still want babies, but I'll make a very long story short. One of my very close friends from my corporate job before I, like, went full-time, she moved back to Minnesota, and, like, her last eggs that she had for IVF, like, manifested twins. And she was there for year 1 of the KirbyCon, so I was like, you were there for my baby's first birthday, I'll be there for your twins' first birthday, right? So I'm in Minnesota, and I'm like, all my friends have 1 baby, she has 2. So I got to mirror, like, their night routine, and I was, like, rocking 1 baby to sleep, and I was like, if I had this, like, I wouldn't have co-founded the KirbyCon, I wouldn't have done a TEDx, I wouldn't have traveled for a year with Loft launching their plus size line, I wouldn't have done anything, because this is everything. And I was like, no wonder I don't have it, like, duh, like, I have other things to do before I can, like, this will be here, but those other opportunities, it's like time, space, like, we're all innovators, right? So, like, if you're innovating, sometimes, like, you need time and space, and sometimes that means, like, no baby, no boyfriend, yikes. I just figured that out, like, yesterday, so it's, like, very new.
Boyfriends, yeah. I guess my stereotype is pretty evident. I would say I'm 32 years old, and about 6 years ago I came out. So late 20s.
I like it.
I was growing up in my 20s, expectation, you're gonna marry a man, it's gonna be in New York City, you're gonna have, like, a stereotypical, like, New York City relationship, you're gonna get married and have city kids. And it all planned out. And then I, come to the city, and, like, I come to realize, like, things are different, my feelings towards men and my, like, are just different, and I started exploring myself, exploring my sexuality, exploring the city, how it has to offer, and I've, realized that I was gay, and I came out at the age of 26, which was very old for a lot of people. These people assume, like, oh no, honey, you were born gay. Or like, are you sure? Like, it's like, because, you've been dating men for the past 26 years, and but I'm like, no, this is right. All my past relations with men have failed, and I know why, and this is the path, and this is the journey for me. So breaking that stereotype was me just coming out at an older age and accepting it and realizing, like, this is a new life for me, the new dating life at 26, and I'm gonna own it.
So I think I was really driven to achieve, to get back to New York, to make it to the #1 market. In television, you always kind of want to get to a bigger market, you make more money, but I happen to be from New York City, so the biggest market in the world happens to be my home also. So it was hard. It took me 7 years to get back here. And there wasn't a whole lot of pressure on getting married. I actually never wanted to settle down with anyone because I wanted to get home. I didn't want to stay in Minnesota. Laura and I have that in common. I worked in Minnesota. I worked in Little Rock. I worked in Akron. I didn't want to stay in any of those places. But I remember I finally made it home and I registered for China and I bought it all for myself. I got here. I did it. So that was really my goal, was to get back to New York. That was my goal. My career was everything, all-encompassing. I do have a 5-year-old. He's entering 1st grade in September. And by the way, I never got married. So I had a kid on my own, and I told Laura, I don't know how open I am, but I think you're all really nice. I'm gonna tell you. So I have definitely not taken the traditional route, and he's the best thing in the entire world. Even more exciting than any career path that I've taken. So, non-traditional, whatever expectations I had, I've thrown them out. That doesn't mean that I'm not open to more traditional things, but I've just taken a different path and I'm pretty happy about it.
You know, I married my college boyfriend, but it took us like 10 years to get there. And that, I think, was where I felt like pressure from other people who were always asking me, like, when are you guys going to get married? I'm like, why are you concerned about when I was going to get married? And then it's like, when are you going to get pregnant now that you're married? And so we're dating since we were like, 20, I was 21, but we didn't get married until 30, and I didn't have my first kid until 35, and it's like 15 years later, and then people are like, So I feel like that's where the traditional stereotype, even if you do have a more quote-unquote traditional relationship, still comes in. And my sister's here tonight, and she just got married recently, and I saw on her face some of the same shit. And I, for the record, was the only one who was never like to her and her boyfriend, and when are you getting married? Because it's nobody's business. And when people are like, when are you having your kids? I'm like, why are you asking me about my sex life with my husband? And all of those kind of things. So, I think even if you do follow a traditional path, like I was focused on career, and then I was focused on building a company with my partner and husband, and then I was focused on business school and getting through that, and those things to me were, like you said, you can't do it when you have a kid. Well, you can, but it's harder because you have other things to prioritize. So, I think in a lot of ways, even if you follow what looks to be traditional, it doesn't necessarily always feel that way.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm the youngest of 5 kids. All 3 of my brothers married their freshman year, college sweethearts, but also did like the 10-year timeline. My sister met her husband at 23. I have 12 nieces and nephews. So for me, it was very much a family. And I grew up here in New York City. You'd think I was from Utah. So a lot of those expectations, I don't think necessarily were so much placed on me. It just was what adult life looked like to me. That's what I thought it would be. And but it's not, recently as I've done more writing around this, if I look back on my life, I always went to the beat of my own drum. And I was very much an achiever from the beginning. I went to School of American Ballet. I was a nationally ranked athlete. I always was doing and going. Came out of college straight into a television career, but I'd say my 20s were actually more traditional, of like I was working my way up in the television ranks and had boyfriends and was doing the thing, and then I for a while, life kind of blew up on me a little bit. That threw me off my track, and I think in my head I felt like I had lost out on that traditional path, and I started to realize that I actually was the one making the choices. When I started Sweat Life, that became my baby, and that has been my priority for a long time, for 6 years now. So I think, and I've had the pressure too. I'm 37, I'm single, I don't have children. If one more person asks me if I'm planning to freeze my eggs, which I am, Like literally, I had a friend the other day being like, I will loan you the money. I'm like, this isn't a money issue. I'm just like, I work out for a living. I need to find a month. So I think even though we're so like woke and like everyone loves to hear about my dating life and it's cool that I don't have kids, it's like it's still there. And just like you said, those were things I want. And those are things that I expected would have happened already, and I actually have to grapple with what my timeline is. So I'm going to be totally honest. I don't sit up here being like, yeah, I totally chose all of this, and yay, me on my own timeline. But it is what it is now, and I did choose this in so many ways. So what are the choices that you make when you're in the place that you are at this present time? If that makes sense.
Leading into the whole timeline conversation, though, we've had societal pressures. We've had the people asking you when you're going to do something, what's going to happen, why haven't you done this yet? How much has the social media world changed that or upped the pressure on everything? Not only now are we living our lives in front of our close family and friends, but many of us are living our lives in front of a public that has their own opinions and may be questioning what we're doing, why we haven't done it yet. I mean, I know I've been married a year and suddenly people are like, so are you pregnant yet? When are you having the baby? It's none of your business.
Yeah.
But how much has social media made us feel even more like we should be doing a certain thing?
I started my blog in 2008. So there was no Instagram yet, like Twitter was like all we had. So like I think a lot of people like got on Instagram personally and then either figured out they could make a living at it or figured out that weird people made a living at it and they were gonna follow them. So like I like joined Instagram like as an influencer. Like there was no separation of church and state for me. And in that process, I think also I'm realizing that turns out I'm a late bloomer. I'm from Fresno, California, very conservative, I'm Nigerian, like my dad's a pastor. There's a lot of reasons why I ended up a late bloomer. So I didn't have my first big relationship until I was at my corporate job, like right out of college. I had a blog, I had social media, and we broke up. And I was like, the embarrassment I felt, like now, like all these years later, when I'm watching friends go through divorce, like I think my feelings were closer to like divorce feelings because I just didn't know what it was like to tell people like my relationship failed. And it wasn't just telling like my friends, but it was telling like, you know, whatever tens of thousands of people at the time that were kind of like rooting for me for whatever reason to have a boyfriend. And I think as a woman, like
Yes.
being in a relationship as like a validation point is something that I've had to like very strongly work to let go of, right? So I think that I did feel, if I'm gonna be transparent, I felt a little better than everybody because I did have a boyfriend. And then when I didn't, it's like, well, what makes me special now? Like, I don't have a man that loves me. Like, what? Like, just my dad? Like, gosh, you know? Like, just one man. So for me, the idea of like, oh, what are they gonna say? Like, I think, so social media for me, I think I took it all in like that. And I think I've had to like liberate myself from that and just be like, oh, like all that matters is like if I'm happy and like safe and my family's happy and safe and that's that. But I think creating like a big like bar for myself that like really nobody, I don't think people are waking up thinking, does Cece have a boyfriend? Like I don't think people are doing that. If they are, like
They need a life.
Right.
They need a life. They need a life. Well, Lauren, I know when I was on TV, no, that's fine. Lauren, I know when I was on TV, I was incredibly private because people are crazy.
Yeah.
And viewers, we love you, but you're crazy, some of you. And you had a baby. Obviously, you're on TV. You are pregnant. Did you have to face that?
Well, I hid my pregnancy really well, all 60 pounds. So no, I'm kidding. No, I gained 60 pounds and I couldn't hide it at all. And I was doing this totally untraditional path. And I remember at some point, my mom asked me to wear some rings of her, and I put them on my, I don't know which finger it's supposed to be on, but I put it on that one. And I ran into an ex-boyfriend, and he's like, oh, I've seen you on TV a lot, and congratulations on the baby. And I just remember like holding up this ring. I'm just gonna go with it. I'm not lying. So I've had to, yes, I live a life that's in the public eye, but I also I'm very private too. I have never, I don't post a lot about my son. I mean, I get more hits than anything, but I hate doing that. I walk a really fine line. So I'm sure I could have better social media engagement if I were more personal, but I choose not to put my life out there for consumption. And it might be to the detriment of my career on some level, because I know some people in my company would like me to be more just vomit up everything about my personal life, and I don't. So, and maybe because I also don't want to hear what people have to say, that there might be people who say, well, do you have a husband? Are you single? I don't see a ring. I gotta ask my mom for that ring back. But so I've just always shied away from it in the same way that you did, and now you don't. But you're in a place that you feel more comfortable, I guess.
Yeah, different place. Allie, you brought this up to me too. I mean, social media has changed so much. We were just talking earlier about just in relationships with strangers, but also relationships with family. What have you experienced?
I have a lot of feelings on social media. I worry for us with social media, particularly with a lot of the topics that we're speaking about tonight. I think, so I guess I'm also in the influencer category, and I think because I'm 37, when I say influencer, a little bit, no offense to any of us that are, it just, yeah. It's never something I set out to do. It just came with the territory of what I did, and I'm very, very proud of how I use my platform. And I think that's the most important thing of what are we using these platforms we have for, and it's our choice. That can be personal, it can not, it can, but I think there's a responsibility there. What I worry about, and I've noticed it for myself, and I'm sure anyone who's in the public eye, I had a conversation with my sister-in-law recently, and she's like, sometimes I forget to call you because I see you every day. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't go both ways. I don't see you, that's not reciprocal. I need you to pick up the phone and call me. And it dawned on me that as a public presence, that people, even the closest people in my life, get this regular dose of me all the time, that it's replacing the conversations that need to happen. And it's not just people who are in the public eye, because everybody is expected to be on social media, and we all live our life on these funny little billboards now, and we shouldn't be posting the most personal things. I don't particularly think I'm very vulnerable and I'm very open, but even I, for my own protection, and then also just not for airing my dirty laundry, I'm not putting the stuff up there that should be a conversation between my family or my closest friends, and I don't think anyone is. So I think I worry that it takes a toll on relationships, because you see the people in your life and you're like, oh, she went on this beautiful vacation, she's doing great, and you don't actually know what's going on if you don't check in. Number two, when it comes to stereotypes, because we're putting our highlight reels up there is just a dangerous game of comparison. No matter how disciplined you are about phone time, screen time, not being on social media, we are more in each other's faces than we ever have been, with these sort of superficial versions of what our life is, and I think it only perpetuates some of these stereotypes of, like, I see a lot of my friends with their babies and their husbands and their yachts and all the stuff I don't have right now. Maybe never will, we'll see. But I do worry that social media plays into that. We feel it is this constant keeping up with the Joneses, whether it be a stereotype, a timeline, a house, a car, a baby. So that's all deactivated.
Yeah, they never put the fact that they were up from 2 a.m. until 4 a.m. with that baby.
Right.
It's always that it's wonderful. Well, Ivanka, you're planning a wedding right now. You're recently engaged. Congratulations. And also, you are an advocate for the LGBTQ community. I mean, when you are on social media, when you are representing a group like that, a group that many of us, tolerant that we may be, still don't necessarily understand as much about, how much pressure do you feel to, I know when I was planning my wedding, I kept saying to my husband, this has to be perfect. And he's like, but it is perfect for us. I'm like, but I have to have everybody else think it's perfect too. I mean, there's a lot of pressure that goes into so many things that you are probably dealing with right now.
Yeah. Wow, there's a lot. I guess first of all, my fiance, she's Greek, and so we're actually getting married in Mykonos.
Awesome.
But you know, she's also Greek Orthodox, and she grew up in a very religious household, and she's still, you know, like spirituality is very important to her. But you know, we're not allowed to get married in a church in Greece because they won't accept us. They actually won't even accept our marriage as a marriage. It's called this spiritual marriage, because if we say it's like a legal marriage, it wouldn't be accepted in the Greek culture. And we also don't want venues to deny us.
Mm-hmm.
So we call it a spiritual ceremony. It's the only way that we're able to be accepted into the venue that we would of our choice. So it's just little things like, you know, we want our dream wedding, but you know, there's still like roadblocks for us. And you know, there's so many times where I just like we're so in love, we're just so happy. And I'm like, I stop and say, I'm like, holy shit, we're gay. I forgot, like, because there are times where I'm just like, we're so good, we're so compatible, but you're also a female. And like, we hold hands down the street, and like, you know, we're lucky to be in New York City, but my parents live in South Carolina, and we don't hold hands in South Carolina just because I don't want to bring that like pressure on us. And so it's just, there are still a lot of like, I gotta say, like Stonewall, like 50 years as of last week since Stonewall Uprising, which is the gay revolution, which started this radical revolution. Until now, we have gained so much since then, so much acceptance. We are now like legally able to get married in 50 states, but there's still more work to be done. And I mean, it's just like that, like my marriage, for example, and also just even the like LGBTQ community of like gender and trans, especially trans, like people of color. The death toll is rising, and like it's increased over last year, which is crazy because, and also very sad because like the fact is we have like gained so much, but we are still like failing in other areas. And so like putting my like wedding out there, my planning and my challenges, it's just on social media, it's like the only way that I can spread awareness to touch somebody to start a conversation somewhere else. That's exciting. My activist side of me is coming out. And
Good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Good. That's what I want. That's just part of the reason why you're here. Exactly. So Cece mentioned that she did a TED Talk. If you have not seen it, Google it. It's very good. I was taking a look at that the other night. You talk a lot about how to build up your confidence, and you phrase it in a way of what is this kind of thing that would make your life perfect? What is that thing? Identify what that is. Take it away, or what would your life be like if you had it? Okay, now what's your life like right now? Go ahead and try and live that life as if you had that thing. I felt like that a lot with me not having a boyfriend or a husband for as long as I went. We all have it for something, for some element of our life. So in that vein, what have you had to overcome? What obstacle has been set in your way, and what have you maybe been able to do to turn that obstacle around and instead just figure out how to live your life around it?
So the whole reason my TEDx ended up being how to build self-confidence is because my blog was based on my personal motto, which was don't wait on your weight to live the life you want. So my weight was my perceived obstacle. I was like, oh, if I'm fat, I'm not gonna date this person or have this job or get this opportunity. And then I started just pretending I was skinny and like going for things, but it was like working out, right? So I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. As long as I just like close, it's fine. So, but I'm finding, and we were talking about this downstairs, it's kind of like, I feel like with any strategy, like anytime you, like what it takes to earn $100 is kind of the same it takes to earn 1,000. You know what I mean? Like what it took for me to get over my weight as an obstacle is the same thing that it takes to get over a relationship or whatever. So I think for me right now that I'm like full-time on my own, supporting myself on my own terms, I think that like as a woman of color, as a black woman, as a daughter of like an immigrant, like there's a lot of, oh, well, if I was born into this family, or if I had this opportunity from day one, or if my last name was this, I could do these things. And then being like, well, wait a minute, like, I just feel like the internet is like the great equalizer, and you get to just like observe things and say like, oh wow, like marble countertops. You know, like I didn't think about that before. And then like maybe you have them in a few years, I don't know. Like, but it's like you get to see things that you may not have been able to see before. And then if you like remove the obstacle of I can't have this because, whether it's because of the size of your jeans or what your last name is or is not, if you just kind of take that out and say like, if I want marble countertops, we don't make this work until we get our marble countertops. Like, that's just what it is, right? So I think for me, it's like a cyclical thing. I don't think confidence is like a degree that you earn and now you have your bachelor's in confidence. Like I think you have to get that, you have to earn it every day. Like, and sometimes I don't get mine. Like I don't know if I have my confidence today. I'm not sure, you know, like some days I know I do and some days I don't, but I think, I don't know, I just think it's so cyclical and I just never, like I can congratulate myself on the moment, but I don't beat myself up if I'm starting at square one on the next topic. Like it doesn't make you a great dater if you're a great career girl. Like you can be the best in the office and be like awful across the table, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, what was the question?
I was so curious.
I completely agree. Like, there are days where I'm like, I don't feel confident today. And then days like, man, I feel so good.
Yeah.
I got this. You are worthy of more. And then I'm like
Yeah. No, it happened. I mean,
Yeah.
so Cece's whole point was in her TED Talk was that if you can identify what that obstacle is to your confidence, then you can imagine what your life would be like if you didn't have that obstacle. Then start living your life right now without that obstacle, the same way you would. And like for me, before I met my husband, I didn't allow myself to have a future because I thought my future had to involve a man. It had to involve being married, having children, all of that. So I didn't give myself a future. It was a black hole. When I finally allowed myself to see I could have a future as a single woman and it could be amazing is when I turned a corner. So has there been anything like that in your life, whether it's the present, the way you're looking at that, the way you look at the future with some aspect?
Yeah, definitely. So my undergrad, I studied fashion design. I really thought I wanted to be this like world-renowned fashion designer, realizing I don't like this lifestyle at all. I'm gonna make shit money. So I went to grad school for my MBA because I'm like, I'm going to go like work up the corporate ladder and be this like strong businesswoman in fashion. And I'm doing it and I'm like, I need more. Like this is not enough. Like I don't feel fulfilled. And I'm like, I'm like, I have the dream job and this is what I worked hard to get to, but I needed more. I needed some kind of outlet, so I started my social media account. I started blogging, I started doing like fashion photo shoots, and then I kind of built my like LGBTQ activism, intertwined them into two, so I kind of bridged fashion activism. And it was just, to me, like a little fun project. It just started off as like a little like creative outlet. But because of that, I'm here. I'm meeting all you incredible women, I'm inspired, and I always thought that like my life is just going to be that corporate ladder, and like that's it. I'm gonna get married, have kids, but now I'm like, wait, what is my life now? Like I wake up and I'm like, I don't fully think about my job. I also think about like my fashion blog. I also think about activism. I also think about like tonight and like, oh my God, what am I gonna say? Like, hopefully I don't screw it up. Like, but these like this where and now, these feelings, like what I've achieved and people I've met and the lessons I've learned, I would have never gotten if I just stayed at my job and didn't try something new.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to keep going?
Yep, go for it.
I think it's fairly obvious what I sort of had to overcome, and that was the stereotype of getting married, and I had to mourn that life and sort of put it to bed. And I walked away from a couple of engagements, and like, who does that when you're 40, right? Like, who says, I don't think I'm gonna marry that really handsome, smart. Oh, I don't think I'm gonna marry that really successful banker. Yeah, I'm not married to be there. I would have been divorced. and I would have been sharing custody of maybe 1 or 2 children, and let me tell you, I am so grateful that I do not have to share my child with anyone. So that is a blessing, and it took me a while to figure out that it would all work out. So I think there are a couple of things, like you have to figure out what is stopping you and what are you so attached to in the fantasy. Like, we're raised a certain way, we're raised to have that fantasy. I would like to find my life partner for sure, or like a partner for a couple of years, somebody I like for a while. I'll set the bar low. And I haven't given up, and I think that's okay. Like, I think that's okay to want somebody who you connect with. But I also think when you have a kid, for me anyway, I'm so in the moment with him that is what my life becomes. So it's less about what if, or what if I do that, or I should have done that. That you can't live in regret. You have to just seize the moment and be so present, and that also is a blessing, because you can't worry about it. You can't script it.
I would totally agree with the live in regret. And I think my biggest obstacle was I actually had a failed business before our current business. And I think a lot of, like, you were talking before about the optics on social media, and it's like, oh, these beautiful lives, and I'm a successful entrepreneur. Well, I fucked up too. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's okay to have failures. So actually, like, the year I was engaged to my husband, we had a restaurant that opened and closed in 6 months and, like, lost our life savings. Wow. And we were, like, about to get married and all these things. And it's embarrassing. You're like, I failed huge. But so that was something we had to figure out how do you overcome that? How do you, like, move on? We both went back to corporate jobs for a little while until we had a new idea. And we did things smarter the second time around. So, like, I agree with you. You can't live in regret. Hindsight's 20/20. Yes. This is what the path is forward. And now we're 6.5 years later and have a business with 15 employees, and we're outfitting restaurants all over the world, and things are looking up, and we did things a lot smarter, I think, the second time around. I also went and got an MBA because I was like, clearly we don't know business. So we need to figure this out. So I think, I truly believe in, like, focus, and hindsight's 20/20, and you just leave it in the past and move on.
Love that. I'm a big fan of failure. I'm great at it. It teaches you so very much. I recommend a book called Mindset, if you guys have not read it. It talks about having a growth mindset versus a set mindset, and basically the difference between people who succeed, they see failure as a way to keep going, but I digress. There's a term called your saboteurs. And your saboteur is literally that voice in your head that keeps you from doing that thing or becoming whatever you may want to be. And a lot of times it's your own voice, sometimes it's someone in your family, sometimes that voice can change. But when you get really good at identifying that saboteur voice, it allows you to push back the things that are holding back. So what I think is so interesting, what you were saying is, for you were thinking if you came from that certain family or had that name or even were skinny or whatever it may be. And I'm someone who kind of been skinny my whole life, it's genetic, came from that family and for me that gave the opposite pressure of I was expected to have this. The way life was supposed to work. I was supposed to go to an Ivy League school. I went to University of Wisconsin. Super happy about that. I was supposed to get married and have a husband by now, and my family still thinks I am ruining my life because I'm not working. I'm not a CMO or at some big corporation, and so to have to constantly be okay with the fact that I have chosen an untraditional path, and I'm really proud of what I have created. And as much as I was, can I say shit?
Yep.
Shitting on social
We've already
media
said
before.
it's fine.
I
I would have said
know. Well, fuck that. As much as I was shitting on social media before, I also think that it is a beautiful place, and I'm proud that I've used it for this, to let people know if they've taken untraditional paths or are breaking barriers or ceilings, that you're not alone. And that's something I try to do every day. So I think as I push back against expectations that were placed on me, then I continue to place on myself. That I figure out what parts of that I do want still and what parts I don't, and I have to let go of. And I think, again, identify those saboteurs. The last thing I will just say also is I heard a beautiful quote during yoga the other day that is just, I cannot get past, that if we are constantly focused on the person we want to become, we will never experience the divinity of the person that we are. And you are the person right now that you're supposed to be or you're trying to be in 2 years. So if we're always focused on this place we're supposed to get, you're never going to appreciate yourself, and we all need to appreciate ourselves more. So.
Ellie, you basically just summed up the Life Actually company right there. So as soon as I can pay you, you'll be on the payroll. No, that is exactly the point of all this. Like, I feel like it's important to have the things that you want in your life. It's not a problem to want to have a partner, to want to have somebody in your life, to want to have children, to want to have the perfect job, to want whatever it is in your life. Reach for that. But love where you are right now and understand and embrace the great things that make up the life you currently have. The last thing I want to wrap, I feel like we could be talking here for hours, and I think that we wouldn't bore you all to death. I would like to think that, but this has been absolutely wonderful. But the last thing I do want to mention, Lauren, you and I talked a little bit about this beforehand, this idea of these titles that people have, like you are a single mother instead of just being a mother. And Ivanka, you are an LGBTQ advocate. Also, you're a woman. You're just a woman. And these ideas that we have to hold up not only ourselves, but this idea of who we're supposed to be and how we struggle with that, how we have to deal with that, and how that affects us owning our own timeline and who we are. Do you want to start, Lauren?
Yeah, I mean, I was reluctant to even, I didn't know, Laura said write a bio, but I don't even know what to say in the bio because I don't want to be defined by being, there's a term for women who do what I did, it's single mother by choice, and kudos to people who I sort of identify with that and find community there, but I felt like I didn't want to be put into a group that, because I happen to be a single mother by choice and also not by choice, I mean yes, by choice, but I just wanted to be bigger than that and more than that, and I'm a mom, and sometimes I'm single, sometimes I'm not. I mean, no one's paying for his education. So I don't like the labels, and I figured because Laura asked me to be on this, it was a time that I actually was thinking about why is it that I don't like the label, because I think it's limiting, and I think labels are limiting, and why am I not a journalist? Like why should I even mention the child? Like why can't I just be a person? So I think it begs a bigger question about what sort of constraints we put on people, what we expect of them, as soon as they identify themselves as something, what comes with that, and there's so much that is loaded with the label.
I find that a lot in general, everybody wants to label something like a female business owner, I'm a female that, on my podcast, it's like I've been trying to not use gender qualifiers when I have guests on. And yesterday I had on 2 amazing beverage professionals, they both happen to be women, and I purposely was not these amazing ladies who are also beverage professionals, stop labeling everything as everything, just that this person is an amazing professional at this thing, why does it always have to come with a qualifier? So I've been really cognizant of that because I'm sort of sick of it being she's a woman CEO. No, she's just a CEO. Why does it always have to be qualified first? I think that's a great equalizer for everybody, and that's one of those things that will stop making people feel self-conscious if we're always labeling, if we try to take it away. So that's one of my goals this year is to stop labeling things.
I definitely agree with what you just said. I think about labeling is also with labeling comes assuming, and that's something I struggle with actually on a daily basis, because if you look at me, I look straight. I dress very feminine, and so when I work in an environment that's predominantly females who are also very feminine, everybody assumes that my lifestyle is the same as everybody else. So on multiple occasions I am asked like, oh, your fiance, what is he wearing in the wedding? Or so do you have a boyfriend? Or it's very assumed my sexuality, and there are times where I just have to lay it flat and just say like, well, she's actually wearing a tux, and they just realize like, oh my God, like I'm so sorry, I made a mistake. But there is something about that assumption barrier that maybe as we change the narrative to say, instead of just saying she, her, say they, them. Oh, your fiance, what are they wearing? You know, just so it's not, you're not assuming their sexuality, and you're also not pigeonholing them into what kind of what relationship that they think you should be having. So I express this a lot in my work, on social media. It's just that I think their times are changing, and stereotypes should be non-existent. Because when people say, "Oh, I've never met a lesbian before," I'm like, "Yes, you have. She just doesn't look like Ellen DeGeneres." Because that's true. Like everybody assumes every lesbian looks like Ellen DeGeneres because that's what the public eye wants us to think. But it's not the case, and I think just being more cognizant of how we approach those conversations without not knowing who the person is, just say more of a general they them narrative, and it's just I think it's easier for everybody.
Okay,
Go
so
for it.
I'm gonna give a tiny spin of an opinion because I wholeheartedly agree with everything that has been said here. I'm on the same page. I have made a conscious decision for me as someone who's part of a lot of different marginalized groups. I'm a woman, as are we, but I'm Black, as are a few of us. And you know what I mean? And I'm plus size, maybe a couple other, I don't know, it depends on what, right? So I feel like the more successful I get, the more I want to shake these labels. And it's because I've transcended them. And that is privilege. And I have to check myself on that. Because there's a girl who's 19 and in undergrad and wants to do something in plus size fashion, and she doesn't know who to find to look to. So I have to keep labeling myself so that she can find me. Yeah. I feel like by the time she has kids, maybe the labels won't matter. But I do the labels for the people coming up after me. I don't want them, but I don't need them. But it's only me that doesn't. There's millions of girls who need to be able to Google plus size fashion blogger and find me, or plus size co-founder and find Black woman, whatever it is, they have to. So I use it for them. I really don't care. I feel like we're all on this stage, but there's so many girls who would kill to be in this room and don't know how to find it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we have to keep doing it for a little while. That's how I feel.
Yes. Do you have anything, Ellie?
Yes. Yes to all. One thing I'll share, I wrote a piece recently about the work I'm doing to remove every label, positive and negative, that I've ever had in my life, and all of us. That I think there's a lot of us that have identity crises. Because we don't know who we are, because we've always had an association. We've been a daughter, a brother, a sister, a TV anchor, whatever it may be. We've always been something, and we still are. We have these labels that, what we do, who we're married to, who our children are. And that's actually quite separate from who you are at your core as a person. And I think sometimes we forget to value that. And I've been so defined by the sweat life for so long that sometimes I even worry that I'm oh shit, and how am I being as a friend and as a person, and what makes me happy outside of all of that stuff? So I just wanted to add that in because I couldn't agree more with everything that's been said. But I also just challenge everyone, even the labels that you are so proud of and you should be proud of, to still remember to check in with the person behind those associations and those labels, because that is what drives happiness and fulfillment at the end of the day. And that's the person that is going to connect to other souls as well. Wow, I sound like I'm woo-woo.
No, you guys, and on that note, you guys deserve a round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you. I picked a good panel. I'm going to pat myself on the back right now for that. All right, before we let you guys all go, refresh your cocktails. We have some dessert that's going to be coming around too, so you can look for that. I do want to thank all of the amazing brands who stepped up and came out tonight for us. Hopefully you've had a chance to check them out. If you have not, they're still going to be here. You can go check out all of their stuff. First, we have Lana and Lily, jewelry company downstairs. They're amazing. Absolutely amazing. And Amy was the first person I reached out to about this event. She didn't even hesitate and was like, we're in. We are absolutely in. Lana Enriquez, the actual designer, is here as well, which is just so wonderful. What we wanted for this entire event was to have it to be female driven. And I'm so proud to say that every single brand represented here tonight is female founded, female run, and that just means so much. I know we don't want to have labels, but I do feel it is very important for the women to step up and to show what is possible, what we should be doing. On that note, Owl's Brew, if you've not had a watermelon margarita, you might want to head downstairs and check that out afterwards. It's really hard to find women in the liquor business, really hard. But Jenny and Maria, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, but they sent some very, very capable and awesome delegates in their place. They're challenging all of that, and what they've created is amazing. If you've not tried it, go check it out. Smith Story Wine Cellars, if you've been having either the Rosé or the Sauvignon Blanc, again, it's hard to find a female winemaker. We did, and it's good. So definitely check that out. Yellowbird Luxury Boutique. Amazing clothing set up back here that you can shop. Holly is here. Holly is wonderful. She came from San Francisco, you guys, with all of these clothes. So happy that she is here. Absolutely amazing. And then finally, last but not least, Modern Picnic. I fell in love with them the second I saw their bags because I want to carry their lunchboxes as an actual purse or a handbag. They are awesome. It is such a great concept. Allie is a visionary in this area. She saw an area that needed to be upgraded, and she did it. She's also still in her 20s, you guys. Like, amazing. Just absolutely awesome. So, Allie, thank you for you and your team for being here. And we have a couple of partners and sponsors that I have got to mention who are amazing. If you have not noticed the flowers that are around the flower wall downstairs, Be Floral. I love you guys. I loved you before. I love you even more now. Bronwyn Smith is the founder of Be Floral. She could not be here tonight. She sent some amazing representatives in her place. Be Floral, unbelievable. The job they have done is just amazing. They stepped up immediately and said they wanted to be a part of this. And Bronwyn has owned her timeline in so many amazing ways. Also a single mother by choice. I love them. They are amazing. And last but certainly not least, Wynn Clark is here tonight, came all the way from California. You guys, I spent 16 years in TV. It may be the corporate world, but I knew nothing about business. When I decided that I wanted to start my own, I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. See, we can swear. It's my event. I get to choose. I had no idea what I was doing. And thankfully, I was referred to Wynn, an amazing business coach who has not only showed me the steps I need to take to own what it is I want, but has helped me realize my potential. So Wynn is here tonight. She's sitting back there. You'll have a chance to go talk to her, go find her. She will also have something included in each of the gift bags. If you are looking for some inspiration, if you're looking for any way to bring yourself to that next level or just find who you really are, I cannot recommend it enough. I worked for 16 years in sports. I should have known how important a coach is. It's important. It's very important. So it is my great honor that she is here tonight. And also, she's not going to love it, but Sam in the back of the room. Yes, there is not enough applause for you right now. Sam also is here from San Francisco. Sam is not getting paid. Sam is just my friend who not only helped me identify what it is that was my passion and then what I wanted to turn into a business, but as soon as Win suggested I throw a launch party, Sam has event planning experience. She's just the queen. She's amazing. I reached out to her just to ask her to give me some tips. And all of a sudden, she is my co-host. She is here from she took the red eye in. She's flying out tomorrow at 7 a.m. all so that she could be here. None of this would be possible without you, Sam. You are amazing, and thank you. All of this just ties into what the Life Actually company is all about. We can't do any of this alone. We shouldn't have to do any of this alone. Our stories motivate, inspire, and encourage other people. We don't need to give you a blueprint on how to live your life. We just need to be honest with each other and share what our concerns are, what we face on a regular basis. And suddenly you start to feel a little less alone in this world. So thank you all for being here tonight to make me feel a little less alone, to make me feel like there's a chance for this. And I'm so grateful you all are here. So thank you again. Thank you. Thank you guys. You're amazing. You're amazing. Thank you. All right, go get drinks. Go get drinks.